Joining me is Liz Thorrow, Head of Advance Australia, Conservative Political Lobby Group, and Gemma Tognini, columnist with the West Australian and a communications consultant. Liz, good call by the Industrial Relations Commission?
Oh my goodness, not so much by the ABC. This is shameful. We have across the Commonwealth 112 government agencies who have agreed to this same pay freeze. Just taking it on the nose, solidarity with Australians, everyone's doing it tough, we're all tightening our belts. The ABC was all but begged, not only by the feds, but also by IDA and the in-house guys at the ABC to do this. And in fairness to the board, they led by example, said that they were all stepping back, taking haircuts respectively. Not these guys. Over 80% of the ABC staff voted to pocket this straight up. And let's not forget, Andrew, this is the same ABC who has been coming cap in hand to our government saying, we need more funding, we need more funding. They knew full well that by doing this, by delaying this 2% pay rise for 6 months, they would have an extra $5 million in the kitty, which Ida Buttrose said would go to emergency broadcast. Well, clearly they're not that desperate for extra funding because none of them were willing to take the sacrifice.
Good point. Gemma?
What to add to that, Andrew? I mean, well, it's true. It's the irony of all in it together. I mean, most journalists that I know, working journalists and people in broadcasting, have taken pay cuts around the 20% mark, and very grateful indeed to have their jobs going forward. I just feel like this is another reflection of the disconnect, not just of the ABC to its audience, but the public sector to those who, ironically, enable the public sector to function because of our taxes.
Look, Gemma, since we're all in furious agreement with what Liz so beautifully put, let me ask you another question instead then. Flight Centre today, the travel agency, they closed 90 stores. What? Gee, the poor people there. Because almost no one's flying. Let me play again what your Premier over there, West Australia...
Me.
Well, I won't play it again then, but he said is not going to open his borders to tourists.
Play it.
All right, let's play it. He's not going to open his borders. Here you go.
The other states want us to open the border so that West Australian tourists will flood east, not so that people from the east will come here. They're only saying all this for very self-interested reasons, because we have higher incomes, we have people that are more used to travelling, and therefore we'll have more tourists go from Western Australia to the east.
You happy about that, you guys? You got all, you know, no flying. You're happy to stay there in your splendid isolation over there?
My observation is this. I think nothing disinfects like sunlight, Andrew, and it's great that the rest of Australia finally sees what is behind this Premier's agenda. Personally, I think it's disgraceful, and I wonder if the Premier of Western Australia considers just how hurtful those words are for people who remain separated from their families, grandparents, grandchildren, loved ones, people trying to run small businesses, people who simply want to exercise their democratic right to choose where they go. Up until now, this Premier has hidden behind a mantra of medical advice and it's keeping us safe, and that's been today exposed as the bunch of poppycock that it is. For some time, we understood that there was a need to cop it on the chin and restrict ourselves, but that day has long passed, and today we've seen the Premier, whether by design or default, Andrew, we can all see what's really driving this agenda. And I will say this, when the borders open, there will be a mighty reckoning, and it started here. When the borders open, and I say when because they will. No, they will. But this Premier, boy, what an own goal. Mr Palmer's legal team most likely is thanking him for that.
Liz?
Oh, I found it so humorous that the Premier chose the term self-interest, accusing those who want to return to normal. They're just so self-interested.
Just greedy, just greedy.
Disgusting. Yeah. We're talking about a man who has an election coming up in less than 6 months, and he knows this pandemic protectionism racket is proving popular with voters. It's straight out of the Palaszczuk campaign book up in Queensland.
There's one other...
know know what's good for them, and they're not acting in the best interests of the state, in the best interests of West Australians. They're acting in the best interests of their own polling box, and they know it.
There's one really important point, if I might, Andrew, one really important point here that speaks to the heart of what I was just alluding to. This Premier with a straight face likes to stand up and tell everybody that, you know, the economy in Western Australia is fine, all of that kind of garbage. In the June quarter, there was a 6% economic contraction in the June quarter in Western Australia, which is the worst since 1989, Andrew. And the electorate, which is right next door to the Premier's own electorate, which encompasses the area called Mandurah, it's only 70 kilometres south of Perth, has the highest unemployment rate in the country. 18% unemployment rate in Mandurah, which is right next to the Premier's own electorate, which makes me ask how much time is he spending in his own electorate, for starters.
Very good
and he stands up with a straight face and says, oh, we're fine economically here. What a bunch of poppycock.
Now, ladies, I'm sorry, we're almost run out of time, so I'm going to ask you quickly. Australian singer Helen Reddy died this week, around 50 years after she had her great hit, the great inspiring feminist anthem. Here's a little taste.
If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong.
Now, 50 years is, well, that's before either of you were born, so that's a feminist torch song that has inspired an earlier generation. Liz, what was the song that inspired you?
Oh, I got to say, when I was asked very recently, actually, what's a feminist anthem that inspired you? I replied, I think feminism is cancer. And I chose Stand By Your Man, which is also a very, very old song. I was like, if you want me to play a feminist anthem, I'll choose Stand By Your Man. I mean, props to a great Aussie, and she came up with a very well-known hit. I know it best from, I think it's a nappy ad or something. But yeah, I am not a proponent of feminism. I think it is cancer. I'm a trad wife fan. That's the life I champion, as do millions of many other women. And I don't think our predecessors who thought that burning their bras was a good idea did what's best for society. But there you have it.
I hesitate now to ask you after that. Do you dare say what yours is?
Mine is not a... look, I'm feminist ambivalent. If you want to be one, knock yourself out, but don't string me up for not being one. Mine is not a feminist anthem, but my anthem is Short Skirt, Long Jacket by the Magnificent Cake, because I'm touring the facility, I'm picking up slack. It's a favourite song. It's my Twitter bio. You know, burn your bra if you want to, but don't think it's going to change anything. Just get on with stuff and stop whinging about being a woman. It's great being a woman. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good on you. Look, I'm going to play that out to the ad break. And before that, I'll thank you both. Liz Starr, Gemma Tognini, thank you both. And here
it's a pleasure.
is your song.
I want a girl with a short skirt and a long jacket.